Yep. Yeah, that map is a nightmare, because this half of the map, then that half of the map, it's just so hard. And by hard I mean it literally impossible. You can't control this, and then also shit that's on that end. It's just stupid. It's just impossible. Entity Hungers, I killed 3 people, and I -1'd. I killed 3 people and I -1. That's... I've had it. This game is a... That's it. I'm done. This game, I'm done. Brutal Killer, +0. 4 kills, +0. Here we are. Hello. Doesn't get any more losing but winning than that. And I am once again denied pipping. Dude, I haven't pipped all day. Yeah, cool. Okay.
70 minutes is all I could spare.
Do I even make it to this? I certainly don't make it before, yeah, before I lose. I couldn't even finish my sentence. Alright, I'm done. She's already here? Wait. What just happened? Wait, what just happened? Oh, she is cheating. You're supposed to run. Yeah, you see how he's cheating, right? I can't catch up to him. Yeah, yeah, he's cheating. Everyone, you know what? Yeah, I'm just not having fun with this game anymore. This might be my last one. Just everyone starts in main building a bullshit map that they offered for because they know it's a bullshit map, and I'm just like, I don't want to do this. Yeah, balanced landing, of course. This window is so stupid. No, she makes it to that window. I just don't want to play anymore. Nah, I'm not gonna play their game. So I kind of just hate playing this game now. If friends want to play it and we can do survivor groups, sure. Or even better, if 5 people want to play and we just do a private lobby with 5 people, even better. That's great. But playing killer is probably the most miserable experience in all of video games that I've ever had in my entire life. And playing solo survivor, it's honestly, it's a fraction as frustrating, but it's still pretty frustrating, and it's not really appealing enough to want to keep playing the game for that either. The truth is, DBD just sucks, and yet it is exactly the way the community wants it to be. There are a lot of long-winded ways that I have already put it, and infinite rants that I have recorded and deleted or still have and haven't uploaded because nobody wants to listen to me rant forever. Um, the game truly is a 4 versus 1. You can even see that reflected in stupid things like, why is killer regression a quarter of a second per second, whereas survivor progression is 1 second per second? Um, and there are 4 survivors. Like, regression is 1/16th the strength that it should be for balance in the game. But, I mean, that, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I hate about this game. Why do survivors have so many safety nets? Even if survivor loses, they can just get hatch and not lose. And even if they don't get hatch, aka they basically lost a second time in that match, they have a third chance because all the exit gates get powered now, and they can be on opposite ends of the map with so much line of sight that the killer just can't, patrol them efficiently and have to hard dedicate to each one to patrol. And it's another coin flip. It's a third chance for the survivor to win when they didn't win. And it's just so, that's like, that shit doesn't exist in any other game. Name a game. In fact, imagine that in another game. Imagine playing League of Legends and you beat your opponent, but the opponent gets hatched. They get hatched. They don't lose now, and it mitigates your win because they randomly got some bullshit mechanic. They don't lose, and you, in fact, you might not even win. It might mitigate your win to the point where you don't win anymore. And that happens all the time on Killer. That happens all the time on Killer. It's something that would be a +1 pip for a victory, ends up being a +0. That does happen. That literally happens frequently. Imagine that in any other game. It's just crazy. Imagine if Killer had that, right? Imagine if survivors could beat Killer, and Killer just, what if they could just enter hatch instead of closing hatch and giving survivors a third chance to win? What if Killer enters hatch and then, like, I don't know, poisonous gas fills the entire arena, and then the killer dies, or I'm sorry, and then the survivor dies. Like, imagine if that could happen. Um, if all 5 generators get finished, right? Imagine all 5 generators get finished by the survivors and a killer hatch appeared and they can jump in it, and then like an atom bomb falls on the map and all the survivors die. That's what hatch is. That's what it is. You can say that's ridiculous all you want, but that just means you don't matter, because that is exactly what it is. The killer lost, but then based on some bullshit mechanic, they don't lose anymore, and instead the other team loses. That's what hatch is. That's what it is. It's stupid. If this game didn't have hatch and never had hatch, and that whole concept wasn't even in people's heads, who would come up to somebody and say, you know what this game needs? When survivors lose, they should not lose instead. You know? That just would, you'd sound fucking crazy. But because because the hatch has been in the game since day one, people just say it should be here forever. But I'm not even. That's just a side rant that I think I've never uploaded a hatch rant truly. So I just kind of wanted to get that piece in. That's not even really what I'm talking about with this whole video, I guess. The game just sucks. Playing as Killer sucks. The game feels like it's balanced around killers only playing Nurse and Blight. The problem with playing Killer, if you're not Nurse or Blight, is that you just can't win. It's a 4 versus 1. What is your goal as Killer? To chase people. I'm sorry, to hook people and therefore kill people. Really, just to kill people. That's the goal. To kill people. However you gotta do it, kill people. And we have to admit, slugging is a terrible way to kill people. It takes forever. People can crawl around when they're slugged. It's just, there's a lot of, it's a terrible reason. So really, it's hooking. Hooking people is how you're gonna kill people. So what do you have to do to hook people? Well, you have to down people. What do you have to do to down people? You have to hit them. How many times do most killers have to hit them? Twice. How many times does it take you, or how much time does it take you to hit them each time? A very long time. And that's the problem with the game. Survivors have too many resources. Just talking about pallets alone, a survivor can be at a pallet, pre-drop it, and the killer gets to it. What does the killer do? They have two choices. They break the pallet, or they go around the pallet and play that tile with the pallet on there. What does the survivor do? If the killer breaks the pallet, they run to the next pallet, and they always make it. They can always make it to the next pallet while the killer's breaking the first one. And that's a problem in itself. Literally just this sequence is enough for the 3 other teammates to complete all the generators. So, let's say the killer wants to play around the pallet. Okay, well, there are 2 types of tiles with the pallet that's dropped. There's a safe pallet and an unsafe pallet. If it is an unsafe pallet, the survivor knows this, and when the killer starts moving around to play the pallet, the survivor can see this, and they, just like you always do with killer and survivor, with an object in between, you just do this. You do the tango or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And so the killer starts moving around the pallet, the survivor just leaves and goes to the next pallet. It's the same as if the killer decided to break the pallet. You have enough time to make it to the next one. You always do. You always do. Which then leads into, yes, of course, if it's a safe pallet loop, the killer has to break it or just fucking leave entirely. And we're going to get into that as well. If the killer just breaks the pallet, we already said, survivor just goes to the next one. Now, let's talk about that dropping chase.
Well, if the survivor has a good area and you know it's going to take too long to hit them, you drop chase.
That's stupid. Here's why that's stupid. And it's stupid because sometimes that is correct. And it's stupid that that is correct sometimes. Because when you drop chase, what are we looking at here? Remember, it's a 4 versus 1. You spent however much time chasing to begin with. Let's say even it's 10 fucking seconds, which is nothing, right? 10 seconds. And you're like, they hit main building and dead dog. I have to leave because this is going to be 3 minutes before I hit them a single time. Because it can actually be that long. So you drop chase. That means you accomplished nothing. The 3 survivors somewhere else on the map, that's 10 seconds each towards generators. You got to think about that. Dropping chase means you did nothing. It's cutting your losses sometimes, and that's good to do. In general, in everything, it's good to cut your losses. Life, games, everything. Always good to cut your losses. But the problem is, like I said, you have accomplished nothing. Now, here's the thing. If you did hit somebody once already and then they run to, like, I don't know, main building in Dead Dog or some other main building that's super overpowered in a map, which is pretty much every map ever, then and it's not sunk cost fallacy, you're better off sticking with that chase until you down them because you only had to hit them once at that point. And the problem is, so if you drop chase, what are you going to do? You got to, and this is just any time you drop chase, you have to think about this. What do you have to do? You have to go find the next survivor. And you don't know how long that's going to take, and it could take a while. Not all survivors opt to hide because it's not fun, but those that are good at the game know hiding is an incredible strategy. It's very strong and very important. What is it? What is hiding? It's a chase where you're not even being hit for like you're guaranteed not being hit because the killer hasn't even found you. It's a chase where you get out scot-free. That's what hiding is. It's part of a chase. And if they don't find you, then it's the same thing as if they did find you and you spend no resources and made them have to leave the chase. It's better. Hiding is better than chasing. Chasing is what you do when you have to when they did find you. Obviously. And so you're dropping one chase to go search for people that are hiding, and you don't know how long that will take, but you do know that 4 people are potentially working generators while you spend X amount of time in one area near one generator looking to see if anybody is still there, and you don't even know if there is anybody still there. Let's say you get lucky, you drop chase, right? It's whatever, dead dog or some main building. You drop the chase that's at the main building that's overpowered. Yeah, and you turn around, you literally turn around and see somebody else, and they're not in a great spot. Good, fine. You start chasing them, but it takes, you're only 15% faster than them. That is nothing. It takes you literally, if it was just a runway, like an airport runway, and like killers here, survivors there, it takes a long time to catch up to them. A long time to catch up to them. By that time, I promise you, I bet my life and soul, I promise you, they made it to a fucking pallet. And now you're back to square one. They can pallet, chain pallet, 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 just go all over the map with pallets, and 500 generators can be completed. Legitimately, 20-ish generators can be completed by the time you're done with all the pallets. And them chaining into each other. That's insane. So, I mean, that's really the crux of it, right? And remember, we're just talking about pallets. We're not even talking about windows. That's a whole other department. We're just talking about pallets on an average map, not even the pallet factory map, aka the game. We're not even talking about that. We're just talking about some map, right? With, yes, an annoying amount of pallets. That's because every map has an annoying amount of pallets. Anyway, you just always have to deal with it. That's why people play Nurse and Blight, and to a much lesser extent Spirit, because what can these characters do? They can make it to you before you get to the next pallet. Usually, not even always. Not even always. Not even always. Only usually. Which is a whole, that kind of like really expresses the point too now, doesn't it? Not even Blight and Spirit can always make it to you before you get to the next pallet. That's kind of bonkers. That's how, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's why they excel, because they're not slaves to the bullshit of what looping is. Looping is so incredibly survivor sided. It's I literally, when I play games and I play successfully, I say to myself, I'm not chasing. I don't chase people. Why would I chase people? It's a losing battle for killer. In fact, I have to admit, maybe I'm on my losing streak because I've kind of lost sight of that, and I've been actually chasing people. And anytime a chase lasts more than 40 seconds, I know that the game is over. Because if a chase lasts 40 seconds, you lose a generator, and you haven't even fucking hooked this person yet. Because a generator is done in 40 seconds. You have 2 people on a generator, and then a third person working a solo generator. That's a crazy setup for survivors, because it means you have the slow and reliable generator, where if the killer gets there, the killer's only pressuring one person, and then you have the quick generator, where if this killer is chasing the 4th guy, this chase could be a 40-second chase is very good for the killer, and yet not good enough. Isn't that crazy? A 40-second chase is not good enough because you still lose a generator. And then what? You hook that survivor. 1 hook, 1 generator. That's not good enough. 5 generators and the game is over. But 5 hooks? That's nothing. You could still get 3 more hooks and not kill anybody. They can factually, objectively do 8 generators before you kill anybody. And just in case you're not aware, 8 generators is them working towards the next game's victory. They can do multiple games victories by the time you're killing people from the first game. Anyway. That's the problem, is chases take too long. And then you have certain things like dead hard, or like even just like somebody taking a chase by body blocking and forcing you to hit them, or you down somebody and the only hook nearby gets sabotaged, or like they do the breakout games, and I mean the counter to breakout is dropping the person, but If you drop the person too late, they actually just break out of your shoulders and start running. And so if somebody does a little bit later of a hook rescue attempt, or a shoulder rescue, I should say, then you have already moved X amount of distance towards the hook that you thought was going to be uncontested, and now it's not uncontested. Those are really the shoulder rescues that are problematic, is when you think it's fine at first, and then later on the person shows up to block you. Those are the ones that are tricky. And good survivors know that. The bad survivor, I don't know, I shouldn't say the bad survivors, but the bad attempts, I should say, are the ones that happen really early on. Yeah. And we're not even gonna get into the things where the situations where like someone can just go in a locker, and then when you grab them out of it, you could just get blinded for free, and like we're not even gonna talk about that. And that's total bullshit. We're not even gonna talk about it. But basically, any situation where you down somebody and can't get a hook is total bullshit. And when those things happen, that's a loss. That's an automatic loss because you're already pressured. The game starts, it's a 4 versus 1. They're working generators, but you still have to find people. You're playing on the back foot since frame 1. You can't afford things like even just a dead hard hitting, like landing. Like you can't afford somebody landing a dead hard and now they basically have a third health state. You can't afford that. That's 3 generators popping. That's 3 generators popping. That's not good. You can't lose 3 generators for 1 hook. And that's what Dead Hard does if they land it. And there are a lot of situations where they will land it pretty easily because you either have to lunge at them or they make it to the pallet or window. And so they read that situation and they Dead Hard it. Or you have the Dead Hard scripters, which are showing up more often. Because it's a form of subtle cheating. So if somebody is subtle speed cheating, you can see that factual. You can objectively see that. But if someone is dead hard scripting, you literally can never prove that. You can never prove that. It could always just be, well, that's when they hit dead hard. Whether it's you baiting the script and making them with it in a stupid looking way, or it's you waiting 800 seconds and then swinging really quickly and that's when they dead hard. It doesn't matter. It can look as obvious as it can look, but you can never say that is 100% a dead hard script. And then the community, either because a lot of them are cheaters trying to defend the cheating community, or a lot of them are dense human beings and are defending cheaters on accident, they start shaming people for accusing people of cheating, which is the wrong thing to do, completely the wrong thing to do. People need to be able to freely accuse other people of possibly cheating. That's fine. That's fine. That is a fine environment. Even if it's just everybody accusing everyone else of cheating, like constantly, that's honestly much better than the alternative where everybody is cheating, or not every, you know what I mean, where a lot of people are cheating and they're basically protected by the community's shaming of those that try to call out cheating. That is so much worse. Trust me, that is so much worse. And this video is not even about cheating. My whole complaint's not even about cheating. It's not about Hatch. It really is about how futile playing Killer is, how long chases are, how many safety nets Survivor have, and how one little thing going wrong from Killer means you lose for free. And by that, I don't even mean Killer misplaying. You can not misplay as Killer and still lose to survivors that have misplayed, and that's just such a skewed dynamic. It's like, what the fuck. And a lot of the reason why I hate this about this game, the way the game is, I hate the game for being so survivor sided. A lot of the reason is because how the community acts, how they behave. So many survivors, they teabag, they clicky, they say GG easy, baby killer, noob killer. They talk so much shit. They act like they just won a fucking Counter-Strike tournament. Because what did they do exactly? And that's another part of my point here. What did they do exactly? Nothing impressive, nothing special. If you are a toddler, a 2-year-old child, and you know where your shift key is, your W key, and your space bar, you can play high MMR Survivor. That's it. That's all you need. If you can interact with every object, you're golden. You're good to go. You are good to go. If you can interact with, if you can hit that spacebar button, you're good. And that's really most of what people are doing. That's most of. I mean, yeah, you have some streamers that really go for the flashy plays, probably because they're really bored after playing this game for 6 years and just you can comp drop pallets, and that's what you should do because it's easy victories, and they probably are just bored of that. That's why they go for all the flashy shit, and that's fine. But that's my point. Also, that's my point. They are so bored of how easy it is to win of Survivor that they play for the flashy shit. They play for the fun shit. They play for, oh, we want to be a 4-man head-on team and just stun lock this killer for 25 years and make his life miserable because that's hilarious to us. Because they're just tired of just winning by how easy the game is when you're playing it to win. But that's them. And then a killer, a player like me, has to deal with the people that are totally fine with doing the easy playing to win stuff, and that's my life. That's my life as killer, is dealing with people that are playing efficiently. When you're chasing one person, you bet your ass 3 people are doing generators. And when you're chasing this person, bet your ass they're not going to make any risky plays. They will pre-drop. They will, you know, they, they will leave a tile instead of play a mind game. And that's another. Mind games in this game aren't mind games. They're coin flips. Don't fucking get it twisted. That's a whole other discussion. But people who say, "Oh, I kicked your ass in mind games at that LT," no, you didn't. You flipped a coin a few times and called it right. I don't fucking want to hear it. Like, you want mind games? Go play a fighting game. That's some fucking mind games. Mind games involve so many elements to be called a mind game. DBD does not have that. DBD is I either am moonwalking or I'm not moonwalking. That's mind games. Like, yeah, you could say sometimes there's like a few other options, but like, get fucking real. If you call DBD mind games, you've clearly never played games with mind games. Anyway, Survivor never does anything impressive. It's just hit spacebar. Okay, run to the next object and hit spacebar. Don't worry about it. You have 30 pallets and 3 teammates. You have 3 teammates. They are progressing the game for you while you just hit spacebar on pallets. And then there's windows. I keep talking about pallets, probably because it's the easiest example. And because honestly, they probably should be talked about because it's like, oh, but you can break them and create dead zones. It's like, not before 5 generators are done. You can't. And kind of saying this to the game developers' behavior, just because a pallet is destroyable doesn't mean it's not completely overpowered. Kind of like, by the way, breakable walls. Just because I can break a wall and make a loop more manageable for killer doesn't mean that tile is balanced, because then it still means I have to stop what I'm doing and break this wall. Look at Dead Dog. I actually counted how many walls are optimally, like, how many walls I should break to make this an actually playable loop, and the answer is actually 10. It's about 10, give or take how it spawns. And there are still more walls to break if I should choose, but I might not need to because they're not as important. 10 walls? That doesn't... Adding a breakable wall to an overpowered loop does not make it balanced. And this is actually like a pretty good side topic because nobody ever talks about this, but it really should be a good topic. Like, for example, in Dead Dog, which is always a good example for bullshit things. In Dead Dog, the fucking breakable wall by the upstairs window, that you have to break it. And just that sentence alone is not good. That's not a good sentence. It's not good that I have to break that. But yeah, and then back, I mean, so what was that? So Windows. Windows are another problem. And in my opinion, they might be a bigger problem. Well, I don't know about a bigger problem because pallets are everywhere in the map. Windows are usually in specific places. They're still a game-breaking problem, but they're probably not as much of a problem as pallets, I have to admit. But, that being said, remember, I'm talking about main buildings being overpowered and like most maps, how many main buildings have window setups? Windows, by the way, that are infinite. They are infinite. Sometimes literally infinite. Other times, what I mean is just that you can't do anything about them. You can't break them, and you can't feasibly block them. So, a person in a chase can always run to main building and abuse these overpowered windows. Garden of Joy is a great example. Dead Dog again is a great example. And there's that one map, I don't remember its name, but I mean there's a lot of them. It doesn't matter because there are a lot of them. These main buildings with windows are completely ridiculous. No matter where somebody is in the map, if a chase happens, they can either just run right to the main building and have an infinite loop, or they can get hit and use that speed boost to make it to the main building. And so you're in the situation where it's unwinnable because you're faced with a lose-lose situation, and we're back to talking about dropping chases. So you hit somebody, they make it to this main building, and if you want to hit them again, you have to accept it's going to take you probably about 2 minutes. Like legitimately, it's going to take you about 2 minutes, and this is just dealing with windows, even if you have bamboozled, because there are probably about 2 or 3 windows here that I'm talking about. And every time you go around a window, you give the survivor that much space, they're just going to make it to the same window until you finally bamboozle it, which means the other one's not blocked, and they just start taking that window. It's total bullshit. It's total bullshit. And it's bullshit to have to deal with it with every chase that you do. So you're guaranteed to either dedicate to that chase and lose 3 generators, or you drop chase and now this is a safe haven for survivors. Whenever they're in trouble, they can go here and know that they either never get hooked because they never get downed, or you dedicate to it and now 3 generators pop. It's totally absurd. It's totally absurd. Totally fucking absurd. All of this shit in this game is completely absurd. And if survivors just aren't brain dead, it's so easy to play so strongly and efficiently as survivor. It's so fucking easy. And that's the problem. That's the problem. People are so quick to say, don't worry about it. It's just a game. It's just a party game. They're so quick to say that. But who's the one getting teabagged and clicky-clickied and shit-talked in the post game? You know? And yeah, maybe most people can just say, yeah, but who cares about that too? But at what point, how much abuse am I supposed to take before it's understandable for me to get annoyed at it? People are always just so quick to defend toxic behavior by saying, just don't worry about it. That seems kind of unacceptable to me. That seems unacceptable to me. How about, instead of that, we try to be a better community, right? And God forbid we balance the game so that survivors can't just play this game for the sole purpose of winning for free and then being toxic to people, because a lot of people just only feel good about themselves when they put other people down. And seriously, what game gives them a better opportunity to win for free and put somebody down than Dead by Daylight and playing Survivor? I can't think of one. I really can't think of one. And then you add the cheating to this game. That statement applies without the cheating. And then the fact that you can cheat in this game and just get away with it and still be 4 versus 1, and you have that 4-man mob mentality effect going on. It's too much. It's too much. I really just don't have willpower to play this game. And I know nobody cares because I'm just a fucking no-name. But I think more and more people are kind of expressing this type of opinion and loss of patience for this game. And this game could be good if they balanced it and did some kind of actually valuable anti-cheat system. Cheating aside, this game is so fucking imbalanced, and the only thing people seem to be able to say is, yeah, but Nurse and Blight exist. I don't think just because Nurse and Blight exist, the game should be shitty for every other killer. Because it is shitty for every other killer. And I don't see what's so hard about nerfing Nurse and nerfing Blight down to everybody else's level. And then, this is very important because you can't just do that and you're done. Do that and then buff all killers in a core gameplay sort of way. And then you can actually start balancing the game that way. From there, you can start balancing the game. But that'll never happen. And I truly believe that will never happen. And this game will just keep going down the same downward spiral that it has been because behavior knows that if survivors are happy, then it's good for business. And this game has attracted a core survivor player base that only comes here to win for free. And so, 6 years of survivor patches and shit, that's not going to change. We had a killer patch recently, which by the way was what, plus 10 seconds on generators, which I don't know about you, but I don't feel that when I play killer or survivor. When I literally play survivor and I'm like, wow, this gen's going by so quickly, and I'm just doing default speed. I'm just sitting on it. I hit normal skill checks, and I'm like, this is already halfway done, and I feel like I just got on it, yeah, I don't. And then when I play killer, I'm like, okay, it's a 40-second chase, and I lost 2 generators. I don't feel like gens are taking longer. So anyway, we had that killer patch. It was plus 10 gen time, and then like 0.2 seconds off of kicking things. That's the biggest killer patch we've had in 6 years. Isn't that kind of sad? And then what do? They immediately they nerf Thanatophobia to be worse than it was before it got buffed, which is like crazy. Like Thanatophobia was in a place, then they buffed it to be like 2% stronger, and then they nerfed it to be like 50% weaker, because it is effectively, in fact, it's probably even weaker than that. Because if only 3 people are injured, it's a 6%. It's fucking ridiculous. And then they get, the very next survivor perk after they make gens take plus 10 seconds is hyper focus. Are you kidding me? Are they trolling us? It's like, I don't know, dude. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. So it's just, it's also proof. They know what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose. They want this game to be honestly, shamelessly survivor sided, and it is. And it's only going to get more and more so. The only reason people play killer is because it has all the interesting characters. Like, look, it's fucking Wesker. That is legitimately cool. I like playing him just for that alone. But then I'm playing Dead by Daylight, and I'm like, this isn't fun because Wesker's cool, but what's not cool is being in a chase for 40 seconds and seeing 2 gens finish, and there's still a third one being worked on that's probably at 80%. Like, that's not fun. It's not fun. You can say, oh, it's a party game all you want, but even in a party game, nobody likes losing when they don't feel like they deserve it, or they don't feel like they're outplayed, or just they don't like losing all the time because they're against people that know what they're doing. People do say very often the middle MMR is probably where the game is the most fun for everybody, and that's probably true. Unfortunately, my killer MMR is high, and I don't. It's not in my moral, whatever you want to call it, moral code, I guess, to tank my MMR on purpose so I can start enjoying the game again, because that's just kind of stupid. Yeah, the game's just not fun. It's just not fun going against survivors that know what they're doing, and that's a bad sentence. It's not fun when my opponents are like somewhat capable of having a pulse. I don't know, because it's very easy to play survivor. It's very easy to play survivor, and that's like one possibly the biggest point. And I can identify now that I am starting to talk in a circle. I have come around to previous points, but it was relevant, but now I'm kind of just starting to go in a circle. So I guess maybe I'm done here. I think I've touched up on at least almost everything that I've wanted to say. Remember, this was completely unplanned. I'm just kind of fucking mad-libbing this. Um, yeah, I'm just literally staring at Wesker's fingers with the like the grooves on the knife and shit as I talk. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, dude. Yeah, this game could have been good. I'm not, and I chose those words specifically. I could have said this game could be good, but I know that it never will, so I have to go with this game could have been good. But the company and the community have chosen the path for this game, and it's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. I 100% promise you that. This is I'm getting reminiscent vibes of Fire Emblem Heroes, the game that also it actually used to be good, and then the game got very power creepy and hungry for more whales and very pay to win. And I said I quit that game, and it's only going to get worse. And that game has only gotten worse. This is the same with Dead by Daylight. I 100%, that's in bold font. It's a very firm statement here. This is not a prediction, this is a declaration. I 100% guarantee this game is only going to get more and more survivor sided. I guarantee you the next patch with content is just going to be more survivor shit, more killer misery. I promise you that's how it's going to be. And anytime we ever get a killer patch, they will very quickly, you know, fix that problem, right? Because that's what it is. Just survivors. They will. The trend for this game has been set in stone, and we've seen it for 6 years now. It is what it is. I don't know. I just get whatever. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. GG.